I was taking off the front wheel because I was gonna do the brake ducting part 2 today, and while I was in the midst of it, the lug would not come off, so forced it off, stripped the bolts, have a new project at hand. I just went to Subaru to pick up a new stud and bolt and called up a few friends that direct me how to replace this. So first thing, I unplug the battery, take out the ABS sensor. Remove the negative end of the battery using a 10mm socket. This little wire is piggybacking it to power up the hella horns that I have installed on the car. Next thing I'm gonna do is go to the back side. There is a ABS sensor right over here, this wire. I'm gonna undo that. I believe it is also a 10mm bolt. I'm gonna take that out. Just be gentle with it, be careful. Once you undo the bolt, this is what that sensor looks like. I'm just gonna place it in the back so it's protected. Since I have to do this anyway for the quantum brake duct, I'm going to be removing the dust shield also in the process. Thought I would just take off the brake caliper at the same time while I'm trying to fix the stud. So there are 2 bolts holding up the brake caliper, one right here, one right above it. I am using a 19mm socket to break that. I am not disconnecting the brake hose line. I'm just going to be taking out this caliper, putting it on something high, most likely just like this tire, just so you can rest, just so that you can rest it on here. There's a bolt that holds the brake line in place. I'm using a 12mm socket just to undo that before I undo these bolts completely. Now that the caliper is off, I'll probably place this up a little more just to alleviate some of the stress here. But now that the caliper is off, I can take off the rotor as well. So I just spent the last 10 minutes doing nothing. I was trying to hammer at it. This thing would not come off, so I was trying to hammer at different points, thinking that brake dust was keeping the rotor on. But I used this 8mm bolt that was holding up the brake line, and I'm screwing it into these 2 little holes that were here. That's what the Subaru service manual says if it is difficult to get off. So as I do that, it is super easy to just pop the rotor right off just by screwing it in, and it just slides off from there. Nice! With that off right now, before we deal with this stud, I'm going to take off this dust shield. There are 2 bolts that hold up this dust shield in place. I'm going to use a 12mm socket to break these loose. Oh, there's one more right down here. Now that's all gone. These are our brake ducts. This is the right orientation here to get that bolted on. This groove lines up with that here. So before I work with the brake ducting, I want to replace this stripped stud. It doesn't look like anything is holding it in. I went to Subaru earlier, picked up this new stud, and I also picked up a new lug nut to go along with it. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything is there. I think I'm just going to take a hammer to it. had to do a little YouTube research, and I think the easiest way to get this thing off is just by straight up hammering it while it is on the hub. So I just smacked it a bunch of times till it popped out. So we have the old stud, we have the new one here. It's gonna take some work to get this aligned properly. Make sure that lays flat in here, but we'll see what we could do. So I have a bolt, something I'm using as a washer, and a extra lug nut. I'm trying to attempt to fasten the stud to this wheel hub. I want to make sure it comes out straight, so I have the flat face of this extra bolt that I found facing the hub, this washer to just keep things straight, and I'm using the extra lug nut to tighten it in. This hub will rotate, so I am stopping it from moving any further with this wrench here. So just gonna tighten it in and wait until this back end comes through. I believe I have it in. Can't see. I think I got it, honey. Yay. I'm gonna tighten it a little bit more, but it should be. Should be good. Sweet. Everything's aligned. Let's get this thing off. Awesome. So what I need to do now is, earlier I took off these four bolts that hold this hub in place, but I didn't realize it was connected to the front axle drive. I don't know what it's called, but it's connected to the front axle. I need to do a little research, figure out what to torque these down to make sure that's set, and we'll be back on track with the brake tucking. Hopefully I finish that tonight. So I have to rebolt. I think everything is aligned straight. I have to retorque the four bolts that hold the hub to the front axle, and I need to use a 14mm socket, tighten this up. Service manual says to use a torque wrench and torque the bolts down to 47.9. So have the torque wrench set to that, and I'm gonna just do that all. Well, that is nice and tight. Everything, I hope, is back to normal. That's how you replace a wheel stud. That was not something that I was hoping to do today. Now we're back to installing these brake ducts. Connie's laughing at me because this was not what I was planning on doing.
The sun's down now.
And the sun is down.
You're like, I asked you how long it'll take to get the brake ducts in, and you're like, hope to get it done before the sun goes down.
Fail.
At least you know how to
replace studs.
Yeah.
Fun. Sweet.